The twin suns blazed high over the red desert plains of Arvix 9. Waves of heat shimmered across the sand. Cactus-like plants stretched out for miles, hiding sharp spines behind their thick green flesh. Somewhere in that dry and dangerous landscape, a human and an alien girl stood arguing beside a landed ship. Captain Jace Morgan adjusted his armored gloves and narrowed his eyes. "Stay on the path," he said firmly. "You step off even once, and you're in trouble." Zira, a young alien, girl with silver hair and glowing violet eyes, rolled her eyes. "I don't need a human to tell me how to walk through dirt," she snapped. Jace sighed. She had been stubborn since they left the base. The mission was simple: reach the abandoned probe site and recover its memory core. But the terrain was known for deadly plants, venomous insects, and shifting sand pockets. He had survived 3 operations here. She hadn't. "I'm serious," he said. "Step where I step. No shortcuts." Zira turned away. Her pride burned hotter than the sun. She had trained on 5 different worlds. She wasn't some rookie. And she didn't need advice from a man who wore half his ship in armor just to go for a walk. Jace walked ahead. His boots landed carefully between the plants. Each step was precise. He checked his scanner, then waved her forward. Zira followed. For a while. But then she saw a shortcut, a clear stretch between 2 cactus lines that would save them minutes. She broke formation and cut across the sand. Her pace was fast. Her eyes focused ahead. She didn't see the thin cactus root buried beneath the surface. She didn't hear the warning beep on Jace's scanner. But she felt the pain. A dozen long spines shot up from a hidden trap cactus and pierced her leg inside. She screamed and dropped to her knees, the shock knocking the air from her lungs. Jace turned instantly. He saw her curled over, surrounded by rising thorns. "Zira!" he shouted. He sprinted to her, his armored legs crashing through the sand. As he reached her side, he saw the damage. The spines weren't just sharp. They pulsed slightly, releasing a mild paralytic through her bloodstream. "I told you to stay on the path," he said, kneeling beside her. She winced, trying to breathe. "Don't say it," she hissed. He pulled a tool from his belt and carefully cut each spine near the base. He worked quickly but gently. Her skin was swelling. Her breathing was shallow. The cactus venom wasn't deadly, but it spread fast. "We have to get you out of here," he said. She didn't argue this time. Jace lifted her over his shoulder and carried her back toward the ship. Every step was slower now. The sun seemed hotter, but he didn't stop. Not until they reached the cool shadow beneath the landing ramp. Inside the ship, he laid her on a med pad. The eye activated and scanned her vitals. Venom detected. "Administering neutralizer," the voice said. Zira groaned. Her pride hurt more than the wound. Jace sat beside her, silent for a moment. Then he looked down at her. "I didn't want to be right," he said. She turned her head. "You were. I was reckless," he nodded. "You're not weak. You just forgot to be careful." She stared at the ceiling, eyes heavy. "I hate this lesson. Painful lessons stick longer," he replied. The med pad beeped again. The swelling started to reduce. Her body relaxed. Her breathing slowed. She wasn't out of danger, but she would recover. Outside, the desert wind howled. And in that wind, pride turned slowly into respect. Zira woke to the steady hum of the medbay. Her body felt sore but calm. The pain was no longer sharp, only a dull ache. She turned her head and saw Jace sitting nearby, polishing a scanner and watching her closely. "You passed out for 6 hours," he said. Zira blinked. "It felt like 5 minutes," she replied. He stood and walked over. "The venom didn't spread too far. You're lucky I had the right neutralizer." Zira sat up slowly. "You were right. About everything," she said. Jace raised an eyebrow. "I'm sorry, what was that?" "I said you were right," she repeated. Don't make me say it a third time. He smirked but didn't gloat. Instead, he handed her a small bottle of water. Lesson learned. That's what matters. She took the bottle and drank. Her hands were steady now. She felt embarrassed. Not because she got hurt, but because she ignored someone who knew better. We still need that data core, she said. Jace nodded. I figured. You'd say that. I reprogrammed a drone to scout the area. It found a new path to the probe site. No cactus traps. No venomous nests. Zira stood slowly, testing her balance. Then let's finish the job. Outside, the sun was lower in the sky. The desert heat had softened into warm wind. The terrain was still dangerous, but they had a plan now. Jace led the way again. This time, Zira followed exactly where he stepped. They moved in silence. The only sounds were their boots crunching against the sand and the distant hum of wind. They crossed rocky ground and avoided every suspicious plant. Zira studied the land with new eyes. You've walked this terrain before, she said. More times than I wanted, Jace answered. Lost good men here. This place doesn't forgive arrogance, Zira frowned. Is that what you saw in me? At first, yes, he said. Now I see something else. They reached a ridge and climbed to the top. Below, in a dry basin, lay the damaged probe. Its silver shell was cracked. Solar panels snapped. But the core housing was still intact. Jace scanned the area. No heat signatures. No movement. Looks clear, he said. They descended slowly. Zira reached the probe first. She pulled open the hatch and found the memory core glowing faintly. The data was intact. She smiled and handed it to Jace. Not bad for someone who almost got turned into a cactus ornament, he said. She rolled her eyes. I already admitted you were right. Don't push your luck. They started back toward the ship. The return path was longer, but safer. The wind carried sand across the ground in soft spirals. Zira walked more carefully than before. She scanned every step, every shape. You ever think about leaving all this? She asked. Jace looked at her. The military, the war, the orders. The pain, she said. He thought for a moment. Every day. But someone has to do what others won't. Zira looked ahead. And if no one listens? Then we make them, he said, as they neared. The ship, Zira stopped and turned to him. I wasn't trying to prove I was better. I just didn't want to look weak. He met her eyes. Being careful isn't weakness. It's survival, she nodded. Next time I'll follow your lead, Jay smiled. Next time I won't let you wander off either. They boarded the ship and secured the memory core. The engines roared to life. Dust scattered across the launch pad. The mission was complete. But more than that, respect had replaced stubbornness. And sometimes, that was the harder victory. The ship glided smoothly above the canyon fields of Arvix 9. Zira sat in the co-pilot's seat. Watching the horizon stretch wide beneath them, she no longer looked defiant. Her eyes were focused, her posture calm. The wound from the cactus trap had healed well thanks to the medbay. Jace adjusted the throttle and glanced at her. So how's your pride? Zira smirked. Sore, but recovering. Good, you'll need it, Jace said. He tapped the nav screen. A red marker blinked near the coordinates of an old research station. Their next objective had just come in: rescue survivors from a downed Union vessel. It was located near the mountains, in hostile territory. I thought we were done, Zira said. Jace shook his head. Orders changed. You're not the only one who disobeyed protocol out here. Now we have to clean up someone else's mistake. Zira leaned forward. How many survivors? 4 confirmed. Maybe more, he said. The terrain ahead grew rocky. Giant stone formations jutted out from the desert floor. Winds picked up. Their ship rocked slightly as they lowered through the clouds. Zira checked her gear. She now wore proper body armor, fitted and balanced. touching down in 30 seconds. Jace said. The ship landed between two large boulders, hidden from air patrols. They stepped out onto rough ground. The wind whipped against them. Sand hit their faces like small needles. Jace raised his visor. Scan for life signs. We move fast, he said. Zira nodded and activated her wrist sensor. 2 faint readings, north by northwest. Inside a collapsed bunker, they sprinted across the terrain. The slope was steep and loose, but they moved like a team now. No mistakes. No shortcuts. At the top, they saw the wreckage. Burned-out panels and snapped antennas marked the crash site. Jace drew his weapon and moved in first. Zira followed, covering the rear. Smoke drifted from the side vents. The bunker door was jammed shut. Manual override, Zira said. She pried the access panel open and rewired the circuit. Sparks flew. The door opened halfway before getting stuck. They squeezed through into the dark interior. The smell of burning metal filled the air. Inside, they found 2 injured Union scouts. One had a shattered leg. The other was barely conscious. Zira knelt beside them and began checking vitals. We need to evac now, she said. Jace opened his comm. Echo 2 requesting emergency pickup. 2 survivors located. Coordinates uploaded. Copy Echo 2, the voice replied. ETA 5 minutes. The building groaned above them. More debris fell. The structure was unstable. Jace looked up. The support beams were splitting. We don't have 5 minutes, he said. He lifted the unconscious scout and motioned to Zira. You take the other. We run. Zira grabbed the second soldier and moved. Her legs strained under the weight, but she didn't slow down. They reached the exit and forced their way through the half-open door. Behind them, the bunker collapsed. They reached the pickup zone just as the extraction drone arrived. The platform extended. Jace placed the scout inside. Zira followed and secured the second one. The drone lifted into the sky. They stayed behind, watching it rise. Zira turned to Jace. That could have been us under there, she said. He nodded. Only reason it wasn't is because you kept your head this time. She smiled slightly. Learning from the best, they returned to their ship. As the engine started, Jace looked at her again. You didn't have to go in. You could have stayed with the ship and missed the action? She said. Not a chance, he nodded with quiet approval. She had changed. She had grown. Not just stronger, but wiser. The stars were coming out over the desert. Another mission complete. But the war was far from over. And now they both knew that surviving meant trusting each other, not just in battle, but in every step forward. Asterisk. The next morning, the sky above Arvix 9 was clear. The desert stretched far, silent and glowing under the first light. Jace stood at the edge of a cliff, scanning the horizon with his scope. Zira approached behind him, fully geared and quiet. Nothing moving, Jace said without turning. Zira stopped beside him. What are we looking for this time? A missing supply pod. It crashed during last week's storm, Jace replied. It's carrying medical cargo, high value. Union wants it back before local scavengers pick it clean, Zira frowned. Let me guess. Scavengers here don't ask questions before shooting. Exactly, Jace said. They set out on foot. The supply pod had gone down in an area called Spine Valley, named for the cactus cliffs lining both sides of the canyon. The terrain was tight and easy to ambush. Jace didn't like it. This place is a trap waiting to spring, he said. Zira scanned the cliffs. Then we moved fast and quiet. The path narrowed as they entered the canyon. Sand crunched beneath their boots. Above them, jagged rocks formed shadows that shifted with the wind. Birds scattered from ledges. Every movement echoed. Suddenly, Zira raised a hand. She crouched and pointed. Ahead, a group of figures surrounded the broken supply pod. 6 of them, armed, light armor. Standard scavenger group. Do we talk or shoot? She whispered. Neither, Jace said. We flank and disable. No killing unless they fire first. They split up. Jace moved left. Zira circled right. She kept low, using rocks and cactus shadows for cover. Her grip on the weapon was steady. Her breath controlled. She was ready. Jace reached a ledge overlooking the pod. He signaled. Zira responded with a nod. He tossed a flash grenade down into the center of the group. It exploded with a sharp bang and burst of light. The scavengers panicked. Some dropped their weapons, others turned and ran. Zira jumped down behind them, her weapon raised. On the ground. Now, she shouted. Two dropped immediately. One raised a gun, but Jace was faster. A single shot knocked the weapon from the man's hand. He cried out and fell back. Within seconds, it was over. No deaths. No serious injuries. Just shocked scavengers and a damaged pod. Jace opened the supply container. The medical packs were safe. He gave a short whistle. Still sealed. That's a win. Zira kept her weapon trained while Jace called for pickup. The scavengers sat in a circle, hands behind their heads. One of them looked at Zira. You're not Union. Why help them? Zira didn't answer right away. Then she said, I'm not helping them. I'm helping people who need this medicine. The scavenger nodded and looked away. Jace walked over and gave her a look of quiet respect. Nice control back there, he said. Didn't feel like control. Felt like instinct, she replied. That's how you know it's working, he said. The extraction drone arrived. They loaded the supplies and left the scavengers unharmed. Orders were to secure the cargo, not punish the desperate. Back aboard the ship, Jace removed his helmet and leaned back. Zira sat across from him, eyes thoughtful. I used to think strength was about never needing help, she said. And now? He asked. Now I think strength is knowing when to listen. And when to stand with someone instead of alone, she said. Jace nodded. Took me years to learn that. You learned it in days, Zira smiled. I had a decent teacher outside the viewport. The desert faded behind them. The ship rose into the clouds. Another mission was done. But the bond between them was just beginning. No longer student and soldier. Now they were equals in war and in trust. Thunder cracked across the sky as dark clouds rolled over the desert. The calm heat of Arvix 9 had shifted into a growing storm. Inside the ship, red warning lights blinked across the main console. Jace stood over the controls, scanning for signal interference. Solar flare is jamming long-range comms, he said. Zira looked up from the tactical display. We're cut off from command? Until the storm passes. Could be hours. Could be a full cycle, he said. A distress beacon flashed on the side screen. A civilian outpost nearby had sent a local ping. Weak, short range, but clear. Zira tapped the coordinates and brought them up on the map. They're inside the storm line. If we go now, we can reach them before it hits full strength, she said. Jace hesitated. We're low on power. Engines are strained. If we fly through this, we may not make it back in time, Zira stepped forward. If we don't go, they won't make it at all. He studied her face. There was no doubt in her voice. No fear, just resolve. The same girl who once ignored every warning was now making decisions others might not. All right, he said. But we do it fast and smart. The ship lifted into the air, slicing through rising wind and thickening clouds. Lightning sparked. In the distance, the horizon vanished behind waves of dust. Inside the cockpit, every sensor blinked yellow. Zira handled navigation. She called out changes, adjusted course, and kept the ship steady through the turbulence. Jace trusted her fully now. They were no longer pilot and passenger. They were partners. They reached the outpost just as the storm swallowed the sun. The buildings were shaking. Solar panels cracked. Emergency lights blinked on and off. Civilians huddled inside a central shelter, faces filled with fear. Zira and Jace pushed through the wind and helped secure the structure. They reinforced the weak supports with braces from the ship. The roof held, just barely. The storm howled like a beast outside. One child clung to Zira's leg, trembling. She knelt and offered her hand. "It's okay. You're safe now," she said. The child didn't speak but held her tighter. Jace worked to stabilize the generator. It sparked dangerously. He yelled over the wind, "Zira, I need a surge mod. Back of the ship." Red case. She ran through the storm, shielded her eyes, and found the case. Lightning struck nearby. She didn't stop. She sprinted back and slid the module into Jace's hand. He fixed the unit. The lights in the shelter returned. The hum of power replaced the crackle of sparks. The civilians cheered. Hope returned in that moment. Not because of command, not because of orders, but because two soldiers chose to act. When the storm passed, the sky cleared like a curtain lifted. The air was cool, the desert quiet again. The civilians stepped out, blinking at the sunlight. Their outpost had survived. Jace looked at Zira as she helped the last family into a rescue vehicle. "You've changed," he said. She looked at him. "So have you." They stood in silence, not needing to say much. The storm had tested them both, and they didn't break. As the ship rose once more into the open sky, Zira leaned against the window. She watched the horizon with calm eyes. Her hands rested steady on her lap. "I used to think I had to prove myself by doing everything alone," she said. "And now?" Jace asked. "Now I know real strength is learning when to trust someone who's been through it first," she said. He smiled and tapped the controls. "And what will you do when someone refuses your advice?" "I'll warn them once," she said. "Then I'll be there to catch them if they fall." Outside, the stars waited, and this time, they would face them together.